You know what I'm saying? Because see, after that, he turned it up on the so-called black community, used the drugs and all that shit as the means to do that, and really like turn niggas really into the villain. So now where niggas are now the villain are depicted as the consummate villain, even his face. It's like they're trying to anchor this anger for these people. But then again, why would they, even if they are people that look like us and shit like that, like they live on such a whole another level, like why would they want to even rock with us like that? Which may explain it too. You know what I'm saying? But this need to see the original man or the so-called black man as the epitome of evil seemed like they was going to try to find a way to do that somehow. You know what I'm saying? With all of these guys. You know what I'm saying? No matter what they strive to do or say, it seems like they always do it. And if the movie don't work, then they gonna get you in real life like they got your boy right. Like the whole franchise in limbo because of this domestic DV charge. But think about that. Like the movie, like up until the movie came out, this person was the epitome. He was of where Hollywood was going. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't book this nigga for like what, 10 pictures, 15 pictures, some crazy shit like that. You know how much faith that is? And you know they got all types of clauses in these contracts. That's why you gotta be extra. That's why you gotta be like, I'm gonna sign it under the trust. I'm gonna sign it as a what you call it. So the money, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta structure the way with it. It just don't always gotta be about what happens to you if. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she was coached by the police, beat herself up, got this nigga locked up, went out, drunk, got drunk, using the same phone with the arm she allegedly in the sling with. You know what I'm saying? Like living it. Yeah, and that's how petty all of this shit is. Cause remember, Sam Jackson allegedly held the good Dr. King and them niggas at gunpoint at one of these colleges back in the day. They was taking over colleges and shit. First round of these crazy people. Looked like he woke up from that, but who knows? So, boy, you know, his connection to him might be the reason why. Like, this is how vendetta goes these days. You never know. But either way, Tang, as a time manipulator, had to be subverted. You understand? Because the whole thing is based upon the structure around his villainy. But now he's like a villain. Like it made him a real villain in real life. Or he let them do that. Whatever it is. He is in that position. Thus, he is now a part, see what I'm saying, of this structural collapse that they are trying to pin on uh, black, so-called black people's participation in the media. Like I said, they divested of real talent, of real editors, people who really edit from the perspective of I'm not, I may be a Democrat, or I may be a Republican, or I may be a Hindu, or I may be a whatever. But when it comes to this story, I'm totally objective. I just want to make sure it's spelled correctly. It goes with what needs to be said, and that's it. You see what I'm saying? There's no ulterior agenda to socially engineer you to accept a lifestyle that has nothing to do with what you want to experience as a human being who's supposed to have the right to not participate in things that make him or her uncomfortable. Understand? So you have the colliding of this cosmic message that's being broadcast to us through these dying mediums that again participate in our own subconscious realization, but to actualize it to the point where these things actually materialize is something totally different. But you gotta understand, we are spiritually, a lot of us are spiritually better than the best of these things. When I say things, I'm talking about things in government, things in entertainment, things way better. Basic humanity is way better. Animals, way better than these things that these people allegedly advocate for. We know that. Yet, spectacle and glamour allows this whole or them to continuously get people to put it aside because our acceptance of them as entertainment, whether real or not, allows them to exist as what they appear themselves to be. Think I'm lying? It don't matter where Mike Epps go. Somebody is gonna be like Day for the rest of his life. You understand? For the rest of his life. Whether he want to hear it or not. That's what I'm saying. It's you get what you get from it. And that's good. Day is a beloved character. What if you're known for being Dahmer? That nigga. He's always in some crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like those are the serial killers to me in life today. That's why you don't hear about serial killers and shit like that. Because everybody's crazy. But really, because they're all being, because that era was gone. Whenever they get rid of an era of niggas that they set up to do shit, they always create a wave of movies to basically usher them out. Think about it. They did that with the Italian mob, with all the mob movies. I think starting with what you could say Godfather, but I would say like Oprah Greenwich Village, that type of shit. You know what I mean? I would say maybe even Lords of Flatbush. All the niggas was like little boys. But every era does that. Then after them, they brought in all of the Russian stuff. That's what John Wick to me represented. To represent the end of all of the Russian mob shit. Now the Russian mob basically is kind of passe. It's like talking about the Italian. They, so now everybody's into the Japanese mob. They ushering them out. See what I'm saying? So all the movies got all that shit. Matter of fact, they put Donnie Yen, I think that's his name, right? Donnie Yen in John Wick, right? The blind dude, right? It Man. See what I'm saying? So because they hired, like I said, all of these women into these positions of power that really had no love or structure or acumen for the mediums that they went into, they kind of destroyed a lot of shit. Not all of them. Like the real corporate so-called business women, the all-in ones, those are the ones you don't hear about because they're doing their jobs. They're making money for these white. You know what I'm saying? Like George Lucas, like look, George Lucas was great, right? He was the creator and all of that for Star Wars. But he's still the one that sold it. He did the prequels so he could sell it. You know what I'm saying? He did the prequels so he could sell it. And look what happened. Because who did he give it to? Kathy. The same chick who couldn't even get the coffee and all of that right. He gave it all to her. Yes, King of New York was one of the early joints that showed where they started to really focus on the black drug dealer. Because that was the era of real black drug dealers making billions of dollars. Billions of dollars these niggas was making. Because the money was coming from CIA. And that money was going to the Iran Contras. Who they was using that money to fund all of the ops they was doing against Iran. Because they were scared of what happened when these cigar-shaped black niggas came out of the cigar-shaped spaceships talking about whatever they was gonna put down and how much shit they ran. So they like, we gotta get something popping. And we gotta lock these dudes down. Let's start the war on drugs. Let's take ourselves off the gold standard. They use all of that. They're the ones that put Pablo in power. They're the ones that put Noriega in power. They're the ones that put Castro in power. All to make money to fight against the coming of the black space gods. This is what it even says in the CIA letters that talked about the first contact with these people. So imagine knowing one day meeting these things, meeting these entities, and then going home, right? And then going to the turning on the TV and then see like JJ and shit. Or on your way home, your bag getting checked, you know what I'm saying? By as Ray Ray, as they say. Or you see this bum on the street. You know what I'm saying? Or the black bum on the street asking you for money, knowing what you just saw. Like, how would you react? And then wondering, well, then, if this is what we found out in our era, how long have these niggas been out here doing this type of shit? I'm not saying that this is the reason for slavery. I'm just saying that it makes sense as to the xenophobia that these beings seem to have with us and our so-called connection to what they perceive as outer space or the extraterrestrial. But extraterrestrial just means being outside of this terra firma, which means what? Being beyond the ice walls. Space in between, the bleed representing almost a universe, a galaxy within itself, a membrane that one passes through. So they created a whole culture, like I said, around this situation. And it's all collapsing because they know in some ancient place or future place, this is probably inevitable. And this may be what they mean about the rapture, come as a thief in the night. You know what I mean? The body of Christ. Understand? And so the physical effigies of this movement is being fed to us in these, see what I'm saying? In these suggested manners. Like what I'm saying. This is why they're so caught up in the Egypt, Cleopatra not being black specifically thing. But they ain't say nothing when Yo Brenner and Elizabeth Taylor did the shit. See what I'm saying? Because they know that it's not them. Yet they have to put themselves into it, even if it's a fictitious history. You see what I'm saying? What makes movies like Doom good, right, as opposed to, let's say a Star Wars movie, whatever, is that with Doom, what makes Doom good is the story. Like for those of us who grew up reading the books or watching the, liking the original movie, when the original movie came out, people hated the shit. All they saw was a bunch of big black penises in the sand. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how they basically brought it down. Which you could see that. But this is also was around the time that, or around the time after that this thing happened. So I don't see that as any coincidence. You know what I'm saying? So these ships that are part of the so-called secret government allegedly are at war, have been at war with these things for years, because they all represent different factions. But this faction is not really spoken to us because this is the one that most affects the situation. Because allegedly it's what they refer to as the Syrians or the Anunnaki. These are the ones that have the most territory, and that we are most likely related to based upon the visage. Yet, genetically or philosophically, we're probably miles apart. You understand? However, because they can represent or exist in a third dimensional space, means then that they also are fallible as to what the technology is showing. You understand? Anything coming into this mud bath that we call physical life, you understand? It's weighed down by the sins of man. Nobody is exempt from that shit. You understand? Unless you're totally non-physical. Yet the gravitational, what they perceive as the gravitational pull, which is really the probably the stuff they got set up on the edge to suck souls back in this place, which is what some people perceive the moon to be, or a self-imposed reincarnation. You see, that comes based upon one's own self-exile that we have all, as human beings, have put ourselves in at one point or the other. You know what I mean? This is why trust was taken from original people, so-called black people, because the mode of individuality has been so inbred in us that we can't discern one so-called person's motivation from the other. So that's the overall problem. And so we're in the era of, where they make the face. But like I said, these so-called space gods that happen to be melanated all represent this harshness that they know is soon to be enacted on. And so we become they got to break that. So they'll sacrifice $600 billion in a good Black Panther film if they can break the bond between father and son that was created during the time of the first go round of the movie. They think that they can tap into the cultural mind frame again to do that, and they won't be able to because they broke the momentum of purpose. See what I'm saying? To shoehorn in somebody who may or may not even be a girl to fulfill the agenda, to undermine the story. Like I said, with Doom, movies like that are good because no matter who you put in the role, because you know the structure of the story, you're just interested to see how it's told. But for those of us who know the story, those of us who got into it, we know how Jessica's supposed to be. We know how Paul's supposed to be. Just like in Star Wars, you know how Luke's supposed to be. It's like in whatever. Scooby Doo, you know how Scooby's supposed to be. They all of a sudden made Scooby serious. It's no longer Scooby Doo. You know what I'm saying? It's some other shit. They make Velma Black. It's no longer the Scooby Doo we grew up with. This is an interpretation where Velma is black. So then say that. Or make up your own character. But you can't do that. Because once you sell your soul, you lose creativity. You can't create nothing new. You can only siphon what's already there and try to put your face on it because you don't know how to be objective. So every character has to be a self-insert of you. Therefore, I'm not even watching the character. I'm watching you. I'm watching what you would do. Because like I was talking to you earlier, boys and girls are different. Boys, we would buy stuff like Castle Grayskull and play with it, but it wouldn't be the focus. It would we would set up scenarios where we would have to get to it or who was gonna be able to control it. So by the end of the play, we won it. You know what I'm saying? My action figure won. You see, we didn't play in it. Like we played in it, but we didn't play in it by itself. We wouldn't stay playing it. We would take the barrel outside. We would go upstairs. And then eventually wind up, boom, now who won? And by the time we do that, it's time for dinner. It's a wrap. Girls, give a girl a dollhouse with no furniture in it. She'll look at you like you're crazy. Because they will spend hours in that dollhouse because they're in the dollhouse. It's them. The character is them. You understand what I'm saying? It's not She-Ra, it's I'm She-Ra. See what I'm saying? Whereas I look at He-Man, I'm not He-Man, but if I was He-Man, this is how I would do it. You see what I'm saying? Different. You can't force the little boy now to accept the Barbie as He-Man. He's not going to do it. So what do? You ridicule the boy. Oh, what's wrong with you? Why come you can't see it as He-Man? Why can't you let it wear a dress? Don't you want to? You see what I'm saying? It's messed up. You messing up people on purpose. But I think that's the purpose. I think the erosion is the purpose. This is what they want to do. They want to destroy everything you used to like as a child. So we as a culture, whether white, black, whatever, we don't have anything to be cool with each other about. You see? It's easy to pick people off like that. You dig? But there's a reason they always use so-called black males to play these extraordinary, extra human roles. You see? And it's cool, but they don't do it for no reason. Yes, yes, but they're not gonna leave it in. Right, right. No, no. Right. Because you tailor fit how you play to you. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying with girls. Whereas boys, it wasn't like that with us. We just went with whatever we was doing. Like you could be playing and a nigga would be fighting with your man and he just take the man and throw it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like dumb shit like that. Like we didn't really have a plan, but the ultimate goal was who was gonna control the castle. But the focus wasn't the castle per se. Really my point. That was the goal. It's all about fighting to get there and what the characters was going to do because of how we impose. But in creating a barrier now with people where they feel like all of the women that's 5'2" got to be able to beat up 300-pound men, it devalues characters like Princess Leia or you know Black Widow or characters who are females that can use their mind to be able to overcome the size and the mass of the person. That's what usually makes female characters dope. Doesn't make them dope is when they come in and they just automatically do everything better than everybody that's there. That automatically is a turn off. But what I'm saying is that I think that is the purpose of these these people. They're trying to demoralize the country and the Western world through that because of the frustration. Like I said, look at Bud Light. Yeah, Bionic Woman, perfect example. Used to love that show. Yup. Jamie Summers, the shit. Wonder Woman. I used to watch Wonder Woman. Yeah, exactly. She didn't make you want to bleach your skin, though. She didn't make you want to go and put on contacts, though. You see what I'm saying? Right. Yes. Yes, because we identify with what? The story and the character, the writing. It was good. It was compelling. You understand? Not this tripe that they're giving people to swill like it's actually substance based and it's all minutia. It's based to again rock the brain and make you have no expectations for anything good. So then when you say that it's whack, then they want to because they put a black puppet in the face of it. Now they can use the black puppet as the face to say, "Oh, see you, they doing this just because you're black." No, no, they're not. They're doing it because you wrote sucky dialogue for her, and she agreed to be the face for this crap. That's her bad. It's on her, not me. Doesn't mean I don't like her as a person. I don't think people should put hate mail and stuff against her based on the character, but she chose a shitty character, and her agent sucks because they put her now in a position where now she's totally saddled with this. So now when anybody sees her, they think about this crap. Who wants that? Yes. This is what I'm saying. Enemy mind right. Remember? The whole black race, right? They was fighting the Draconian Syrians. That's why I'm showing this here. Then Jeepers Creepers. That character. The guy who created that was a rampant pedophile, a rampant child murderer. Look it up. I'm surprised the franchise is still going. And you got Terax, who is the herald of Galactus, meaning the person who brings the bad news to the planet that's about to get ate. This is the type of, see what I'm showing you, like how these characters are pitted in the mind of not just us, but of like modern culture, and why the fear and shit like that of so-called black people exists. Because essentially there is this underlying notion that this can't continue like this. This can't. We have to do something to something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna come and shut all of this down. And they move like that. See? Two nations. See? On the same world. Look at the pyramids over here, and then the buildings over here. Both with their own flag. You know what I'm saying? Like they were showing us, B. Like we didn't even realize. Like I used to love when Duck Dodgers came on TV. It was like a break from him being Daffy. It was like he was acting in in another role on the same show. It was amazing to me. I'm just talking about my mind as like a child. Like, wow, I didn't know cartoon characters could play other things. You know what I'm saying? Like watching it. And then Marvin, like I said, always in the Moorish colors, always trying to hold Mars down, always about to do away with Daffy, but pauses because he wanted to work it out. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the times that Daffy was away from bugs, like and stuff like that, he was kind of different. Like, look at how they wrote him different, like when he was by himself in episodes and when he was with bugs. So it was a whole different writing situation. Because again, these are archetypes for original people. And not to say Black Adam, they was trying to bring him in to take over the whole company. Always associating original people with energy. Black Adam, Black Lightning, Black Vulcan. Always equating us with electrical charged uh, energy. Exactly. They both black. Baron said, yeah, they both black holding the earth down on Mars. Mars. That's right. That's right. And they in the ultraviolet. So they in the higher realms. They see Saturn, you see what's going on. Yeah. Again, the black space guard, the Mike Tyson. See that somebody that's there to embody the physical energy, but it's always associated with a color. This is them. This is what they tie. They think we tied to. Exactly. So that's why it's striving to collapse and trying to take everything even more digital and now trying to find some bread. So like I said, I think the way into that goal around that is to have everything structured and trust so that way, you know, there's a buffer. These devils, they on their way out. For real. Big up Anthony Browner. See, he played dark side. See what I'm saying? How is it always the cosmic characters from movies and TV? How come it's always played by melanated men? What's up with that? Yeah, it's pretty much a wrap for them. It's their last goal because they can't, really make every bread like they really need to. Again, they're taking what's left of the ESG shit before they totally shut that down. They gotta fire the writers, but they hire so many shitty writers. There's not enough stories and stuff for them to do, but they can't tell them that because then they won't get due money. So they gotta make them go on strike and try to force these companies to create more fake jobs for them to go to, while a company is downsizing like 70,000 people at a time. It's not. It's unsustainable. While at the same time, their invasion is going well by them sending more and more people through the border with no vetting, no justification, nothing in them, setting them up in spaces and whatever marching orders they have and sleeper agents, they start getting activated. So the country just implode on itself. Or so they want, so they think. Like I was watching Conan last night with the Queen and we was watching how James Earl Jones was a part of the serpent cult. This nigga was turning into giant anacondas. I was like, word. When I was watching it really from the perspective of Conan for the first time. Like I watched it over the years, but like today I watched it from the perspective like, oh, Conan was like a real post flood Neanderthal slave, like, and what was left of the Antillians and stuff in that Hyborian time was basically like created a whole culture of serfdom. And so he could only come out by becoming a thief slash uh, privateer. So it made more sense in terms of historical context, in terms of the Vikings and stuff, because most of the Vikings were farmers. And another thing they won't tell you about Vikings is that Viking was not a people. It was not something that you were. It was something that you did and became known for. You understand? So Viking was like some shit that you did to get bread, like hustling. And people who did a lot of hustling were called hustlers. People who did a lot of Viking, see what I'm saying? Or vying, which means to go in search of, right? Uh, when they would come back, they would be seen as kings, or they'd be by the kings, and thus, what they are. So yeah, so the idea of the cosmic space god black man coming to wreck everybody's show is the reason why, like I said, they are at such a standstill of moving forward with shit. Why they raise somebody like Kang up and then now got to figure out how to save the whole universe, the actual real universe, because when Thanos said that it was over, it was really over. And what they don't understand is that sometimes something can be so good that that's it. And he actually did it. Like that's what people don't get with the whole idea of Thanos or the whole whatever you talk about with the concepts and all of that and what he represents, genocide, population control. In the comic books, he's not even like that. In the comic books, he's doing it all because he's in love with death. He wants to get rid of everything, bit of life in the universe, so she'll finally take him seriously and be his woman. That's it. That's his whole motivation in the comic book. You can't do a movie about that. That's about a suicidal nihilist with genocidal purposes. We got to do something to make this guy more think, you know. So they give him the, he wants to save half the universe angle. I'm with it. That's cool because they wrote it properly. It was properly done. Where there was elements of it where you actually wanted him to do it. You wanted him to do it. I did. I was like, snap all these niggas. Snap all these niggas away now. So when he actually did it, I remember being in the theater with the family, and when he actually did it, and you saw all these things, you saw Black Panther, these characters floating away. The white girls, the little white girls behind me, they started screaming. They started screaming. It was like, no, like they don't get how good how much people was invested in it and what it represented. Like, so when he actually won and you watched him actually sit down and smile and look at the sun, I was like, word, nigga, you did it. I was like, word, son, you did it. Thanos, you did it. It was like watching the black man succeed over impossible odds, over years worth of movies, and watching this nigga actually win. Like, yes, yes. And I wasn't mad how they undid it and shit. I wasn't mad, but the fact that he did it means that the timeline, the real timeline, exists. So in that timeline, we done already made it. It's one timeline closer to us making it. Because for all you know, like they said that the rapture would happen almost like smoke, where it just happened and it's just done. So for all you know, it happened. Like, it may have happened every time. The Egyptians believed that every night you went to sleep, you died, and every night day you woke up, you rose from the dead. How do you know it's not like you don't know if that's true or not? You don't know. How do you know you're sleeping? Bless you. You don't know. Bless you. That's the thing. They did a lot of people dirty in a lot of those films, but essentially they were all basically good. And what made, like I said, his character compelling was the fact that he's a tyrant, but you understood, at least from him being a psychopath, why he was doing it. And what you also saw was dope is that when they finally caught up to him in the second movie, you see that he destroyed the stone to stop himself or anybody else from using them to undo or flip anything else. So that also showed that there wasn't no ego shit for him. That type of fatherly Saturnian type of choice is outlawed in modern society. These are the type of choices that men, bless you, our fathers and our grandfathers and our great grandfathers and the warriors and these types of niggas that was in our family. These are the type of choices these niggas had to make in order for us to be alive. We wouldn't be here if these niggas wasn't out here killing and blowing shit up. If our direct ancestors wasn't doing it. So, like I said, man, Thanos was right. He the best to ever do it. They could never undo none of it. And like I said, it's a lesson for all of us in the context that modern entertainment is the only thing holding this country together. And if that really goes, then we're really all on our own. That's really the only shit that really Americans identify with on a whole is the shit they like and the shit they collect. That's why it's important. You know what I'm saying? Why we also have to make our own stuff, support that more than it's crap. Because then what will happen is they'll go back to doing the stuff we want them to do. But in the meantime, you know, anybody else have any questions? Yeah, that's why nothing's working because of because they cursed themselves with it. On top of the real curse that exists over the Black Panther stuff from the what you call it dudes, from the guys in Africa and Kenya. Anybody else? Uh, I'm not sure what jurisdiction you mean. Yeah, the doctrine of discovery thing, they rolled back on that. So that also means that they accepted liability. So, you know, there's an out to do it. But if any Moors or any structured Moors want to do stuff like that, I would definitely do it as a in the name of the trust or family trust of whatever Moors are doing. I was saying that the Thanos aspect represented that aspect of the so-called fatherly or Saturnian type of black energy that they are fearing because it's a conquering energy that they have no real control over. And so a lot of this UFO and stuff like that that's happening, once we start seeing these cigar type ships out there, you know, you never know what's going on. But they say that those beings are militaristic but have a war code. And that Dune movie and those type of things, they've taken aspects of that over the years and applied it to different types of stories to get us to almost become assimilated to it while at the same time have a slight aversion. So if these things do show up and they do look like us, they want to do the opposite, popping off. Anything dealing with like high societal stuff or fantastic empires, like any type of empires and stuff that look like this. Like this is downtown Chicago at one point, and then on your left, and then on your right is a painting that was done by Thomas Cole, a series called the Force of Empire. So so he obviously was painting aspects of what he saw in Chicago and applying it to the imperial nature of what was passing at the time. Look at the end of the series of paintings he did. It ends in with a painting called Desolation, and the whole scene that you see right here is just all in ruins and washed over with mud and moss and stuff. So again, this is right from the same time period. So they obviously was there to see what was going on, and we obviously were disassociated from that, and all of this was actually demolished. So I don't think Thanos as a character actually had a nationality per se. He was a Titan. So again, that's bringing back the ancient Nephilim into the whole story. So if anything, he was that, and the Titan lived on one of the moons of Saturn, called Titan. So he also was a representation of Prometheus. He might also be a representation of Damocles too. Things. But very good character. So yeah. So anybody else have any questions, you can hit me up, houseofbell@hotmail.com. Definitely, if you could send the $30 to money sign capital DS 418 Cash App or via PayPal, it's going to be a joint. PayPal, you can do gptears@gmail.com. You can also check out www.cordovaorganics.com. Also, www.thumbroad.com. Type in Aseer in the chat. And yeah, we do it like that. Yeah, principle wise, absolutely. Dennis was right to make decisions in the car. Yeah, the way that he was written was great, and the build up to it as a character was great. That's what I mean about writing. Like writing stories that compel people, where you don't have to like that this person was a genocidal maniac, but based upon the story, you get the idea of why this person was like that, but not to the point that you identify and you use Thanos as a means to go and, try to get rid of millions of people. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy because Thanos doesn't exist. You understand what I'm saying? It's crazy. However, people need to know that that these stories are there for us to learn that. Like, Star Wars was really about the redemption of Vader, but we thought it was about Luke. You know what I'm saying? At one point, when we was little, we thought, bless you, Luke and Leia was going to get together. Turns out the sisters. See what I'm saying? Great writing. But turns out they didn't even know they were going to do that. Because as great as George Lucas was, he wasn't always on point with certain shit. So who was the one that saved all this shit? Bless you. Marsha Lucas. Everybody should be giving thanks who like that whole shit. Give thanks for Marsha Lucas, because she was the one who made a lot of the creative decisions too that made it so that way the shit was cool. And if it wasn't for her, a lot of shit wouldn't have got done. Just like most men. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean, man. It was always for everybody. They just exclusionized it so that way they could take control and put people against each other. So that's it, man. And then what did Joe Lucas do? After all of that, what did that nigga do? He divorced her and married a black chick. Married his black lawyer, who I think was Marsha's friend. You know what I mean? Like, damn. That must be the first time in history of a white man leave his white established wife for some black chick. That's crazy. But he sure did. But look what happened to his children, though. That's where you see. I think his daughter's a man now, ain't it? Some shit like that. So, hey, in the end, they just stories. But they stories based on shit that actually happened to us that may still yet to be. So, anybody else, man, definitely hit me up, houseofbell@hotmail.com, and then we'll definitely take it from there. Right? Yup, you're right. Too many places, you're right. Indeed. So again, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you guys for sending that to the appropriate places. I appreciate it, inshallah. And see you guys sooner than later. So keep a vigilant out and look into the things that I was talking about, especially the Saint Germain. proprietary depository junk. That's the look into that. That's how you justify putting everything into the trust like that, especially like houses. You pass it on directly. You pass it to the trust. So that way there's no tax and none of that shit on it. Alright? So yeah, go through it though. Look through it. If you have more questions about how to build on and set it up, I'll say they'll help.